I don't have pet peeves. I have major psychotic fucking hatreds, okay?
And I know you have mentioned to me on occasion about some of the emails you get from flat earthers that are just absolutely insane. Go ahead and share with us some of the nonsense that...
Well, you know what I noticed right away was look like a psyop and a very professionally done one. And I thought, well, okay, you people are trying to draw me into your crazy conspiracy because you want to discredit what I found about 9/11. Because I hate to say this, but, you know, if you're in the cockpit and you're, let's say, 42,000 feet, you actually do see the curvature of the planet. And so, but what I noticed is their recruiting is very professional. And right away I felt that it was a CIA psyop, a psychological operation to infiltrate and bring in anyone that is on to their BS, like 9/11, and discredit me. Because when you see the curve, you can't deny the curve. You know what I'm saying? And so if you believe the earth is flat, I'm so sorry for you. But
so at that point, consequently, I was speaking to Max Egan, and he was telling me about a guy named David Cole. Now, this is what really did it for me, because David Cole had a terabyte of information on 9/11 that was stolen from him. And this was Freedom of Information Act requests and all kinds of inside information. Now, when Rebekah's second book came out, she was boasting about how she has a terabyte of information. That led me to really start looking into who this Rebekah Roth person is, and I came across a YouTube channel called Fix Your Health, P-H-I-X, Fix Your Health, that starred Monica Gaynor.
Well, hello, Monica. You're looking great today.
oh, hey, thanks, Michael.
Well,
How
you
are
look great every day, but it kind of reminds me of the time we were cruising through Las Vegas, stopped in at the Excalibur, and some guy wanted to guess your age.
Yeah, that was kind of fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, for $1 or so, we put you up on the podium, and he guessed 20 years younger than you really are. And you walked out with a teddy bear.
I had to show him ID that he was that far wrong, didn't I?
Now, how do you explain that?
Well, I've got a little secret. Actually, got a couple little secrets, but my name.
Care to share them with us?
Of course, Rebekah Roth being a former host on TalkNetwork.com, and there's a reason for that, and you're about to be introduced to why she is a former host. At the conclusion of this particular segment with Kurt Haskell, I have made a decision myself to remove that interview. I don't think I've ever done this before, but episode number 1061, as a result of what you're about to hear, I am removing it from our archives, and I'm putting it on the record that it has been clearly established that there's enough of a question about the credibility of Rebekah Roth, her identity.
Now, the article also included some other information that I didn't know. For instance, her IP address that was seen when she was on a Skype call with Jim actually led back to Langley, Virginia. And when confronted about this, she said, well, I'm using a proxy server. Who is using a proxy server that goes back to Langley, Virginia, which is the CIA headquarters? Her phone number goes back to Langley, Virginia. So there's 3 different reasons why all roads lead back to Langley, Virginia, which has people speculating now. Who is this Rebekah Roth person?
So I'm going to tell my listeners this. Ladies and gentlemen, I could not myself verify that she was a flight attendant, and I couldn't verify myself that she was not. So because of that question and because of the seriousness of the topic of 9/11 truth, I'm thereby going to pull my endorsement of her work because there's too many questions.
So, and I know her real name. I'm not going to say it on air, but it's not Rebekah Roth. She's also not Monica Gaynor, although she was the voice in those videos.
Okay, so you're not going. So you've established what her real name is, and you're not going to disclose it for her safety and security. Is that what you're?
I'm not going to destroy her privacy.
Sure.
At least at this point.
That's respectable.
If she makes some unwarranted attacks on me personally, saying I'm lying or something, then the gloves are off.
So at that particular time, I got really lucky and the trash took itself out. Rebekah wrote me an email and said, hey, I'm leaving the station. And I said, good riddance, don't let the door hit you, on the way out. And I was rejoicing when this happened. She went to go become somebody else's problem.
She's actually, in fact, instead of 59 years old, she put out that she was 65. Why?
I don't know, Pete, but it seems like everything I look up about her is not true.
Wow.
I mean, from her age to her work history to her kids, how many kids she has, to how many grandkids. I haven't found anything that she says that seems to be true.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
Nothing. So it's impossible, according to her own admissions, that she worked as a flight attendant in 72. She could not have worked as a flight attendant until very late 77, when she would have been 21. So that part of her story is not true. She was not a flight attendant in 72, because it's not possible. Or I had another colleague of mine confront her and actually tell her real name to see how she would respond. And she responded with 10 seconds of complete silence. She was utterly shocked that anyone was able to figure out her real name.
Oh, really?
Because there are, get this, there are literally 0 pictures of her on the internet that I could find. 0. And trust me, I know a lot of her family members. I probably know 20 to 30 of her family members. Now, I could not find even an old picture of her on anywhere related to these family members or anything. Facebook, anywhere. It's all been scrubbed clean, completely. I was able to get one photo of her from the mid-1970s, and it did not come off the internet. It's almost unbelievable, because I know I could not do that with myself. There would be, pictures of dinner parties I went to in 1985 and things like this,
right,
that I wouldn't even know are out there, that I would not be able to scrub clean. Anyway,
right.
So I started looking into her work history, because now I knew she was not a flight attendant in 1972, because she was only 15 then. So was she a flight attendant at all? Came up in my mind. And I pulled her work history, and it had a list of 12 jobs. Okay, fine. And I'm not going to name the specific employers, but none of them were in the airline industry. And these are the kinds of places she worked for. One was a hospital, one was a newspaper, a church, and one was a university. And there were 8 others. But this gives you kind of idea. Menial, sporadic jobs is kind of what I got from her work history. No airline history at all. Now, I decided to do another search. And on this one, I did a search of where she lived. Okay, I have her address. So I wanted to see who lived there, if there were any other suspicious people there. And this site provided me with her current. Okay, and the current employer or occupation is protective service occupations. And it also says she has a graduate or professional degree, which I find very hard to swallow for someone that supposedly was a flight attendant for 30 years, when they would find the time to have a graduate or professional degree. But even more troubling, Pete, is the professional service occupation designation.
Protective service occupation.
Yes, those people are almost entirely, or maybe 100%,
right,
government workers.
Yeah, if not a term that is frequently used in federal circles, because protective services and the federal protective services, that's a very, very common term.
I'm just really glad that we were able to distance ourselves from her early on, and that we as the alternative media band together to expose this rather than being sucked into it.
That the investigation that was done in a very detailed fashion by Kurt Haskell was supplemented by a conversation that I had directly with Rebekah Roth. I tried to help vet her. There were some questions, and I wanted to help vet her. That conversation from start to finish was recorded. The whole reason for this investigation was to not attack her. It was actually to shore up some of the questions and to help her wade through it. I want you to hear just a brief excerpt. I'm not going to put it out in total, but I want you to hear the conclusion of the conversation, how defensive she was.
Freaking assassination if I needed to.
Here's
But
the
here,
thing. I don't care if I don't care if you think no one.
do you have anything like for me to go out? I want to go out on my show and say, hey, this whole thing against Rebekah Roth, there's a big entity that's coming after her. They're saying that she was never a flight attendant.
If you can't do that on our friendship.
Well, you know what, Rebekah, I got to be honest with you. Okay. I'm friends with, when it comes right down to facts, I'm friends with nobody. You know what I mean? I want to be able to say that I verified that you were a flight attendant beyond any reasonable doubt. I verified it. And guess what? It's private information. Screw all of you people. She shared it with me privately.
Here's the thing, Pete. Here's the thing.
Uh-huh.
If you have not gotten enough information from me, there's no way in hell I would have known what the word methodical was all about. It was a code word for the common strategy for the hijacking protocol of the FAA from early 1970, right around the time of the D.B. Cooper hijacking, until 2001, September 11th.
Yeah.
They changed it out. How the fuck would I know that? Yeah. If that's not good enough for you, I don't need your help. I don't need anybody's help, because you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to rise.
Here's the deal. Here's how I'm going to put it, Rebekah. I'm going to put it to you this way, okay? Unless you can verify with me that you were a flight attendant, then I'm going to say that you weren't.
Okay, that's a nice threat.
That's not a threat. That's not a threat. It's a fact. I can't verify that you were a flight attendant. It's in question right now.
I say it again, you've been had. You've been took. You've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok.
I don't have pet peeves. I have major psychotic fucking hatreds, okay?
And I know you have mentioned to me on occasion about some of the emails you get from flat earthers that are just absolutely insane. Go ahead and share with us some of the nonsense that.
Well, you know what I noticed right away? It was like a psyop and a very professionally done one. And I thought, well, okay, you people are trying to draw me into your crazy conspiracy because you want to discredit what I found about 9/11. Because I hate to say this, but you know, if you're in the cockpit and you're, let's say, 42,000 feet, you actually do see the curvature of the planet. And so, but what I noticed is their recruiting is very professional, and right away I felt that it was
boasting about how she has a terabyte of information. That led me to really start looking into who this Rebekah Roth person is, and I came across a YouTube channel called Fix Your Health, PHIX, Fix Your Health, that starred Monica Gaynor.
Well, hello, Monica. You're looking great today.
Oh, hey, thanks, Michael.
Well, you look great every day, but it kind of reminds me.
CIA psyop, a psychological operation to infiltrate and bring in anyone that is on to their BS, like 9/11, and discredit me. Because when you see the curve, you can't deny the curve. You know what I'm saying? And so if you believe the earth is flat, I'm so sorry for you. But
so at that point, consequently, I was speaking to Max Egan, and he was telling me about a guy named David Cole. Now, this is what really did it for me, because David Cole had a terabyte of information on 9/11 that was stolen from him. And this was Freedom of Information Act requests and all kinds of inside information. Now, when Rebekah's second book came out, she was